of the bridge over troubled water, and being the one that comes forward to dry the tears, to be the comfort, to help lift up and stand beside, to be the one that is the friend along the highway of life or the byway of life. That's what we're talking about this entire month, spiritual partnership. And part of that work is to be able to bring forth, to actually act in a compassionate way. I love what Alan Moreno says about compassion. It's not a feeling. It's kind of like a be-do. It's a do-be. It's a bringing forth this energy of the divine, letting that flow through us in whatever we do, bringing forth an expression of that, and this idea that we have the capacity to help ease each other's minds, as the lyrics of Paul Simon's song says. I love this song. I love the way this particular performer sings it. And so this is the last talk in this series, five talks on what spiritual partnership looks like. And most of what spiritual partnership requires is for each and every one of us to be able to step into our authentic power. And Gary Zukav says our authentic power is centered in our capacity to express and know our own divinity. That's where our power comes from, is to know the truth about who we are. Because when we know who we are, guess what? It's a whole lot easier to remember and recognize that same divinity in others, whether it's someone in our family, in our spiritual community, in our circle of friends, or in the world. And there are so many opportunities to recognize that energy in others. And so, like Karen Armstrong says, before we can actually bring compassion into the world to be a beneficial presence with others, we must be able to face and heal our own fears, our own pain bodies, as Eckhart Tolle would say, to face and heal the stuff that gets in the way, that puts that big fortress up, that doesn't allow us to express our divinity and bring that forth. So really, it occurred to me when we first started working with this idea of compassion for this month, I thought, okay, well, it's about other people. Yeah, well, it's not. Compassion starts right here, with me, with you, with each and every one of us. It's not about other people. It's about me. It's about you. It's about each one of us. Because it's about the capacity to recognize our oneness with each other, to recognize our human condition, and to bring forth this kindness without any agenda, without wanting to get anything in return, without a payback, without a thank you, without a reward, just simply because we choose to have reverence for life and to bring forth an expression of this incredible divinity that we are. Now, most of us struggle with this idea of not being thanked, not being recognized, not being acknowledged for all of the wonderful good things that we do. Yes? Sometimes that's the truth. That's the truth. But what we're talking about today is this energy that we bring forth that is not dependent on any of that. The other people don't even have to recognize our acts of compassion. We recognize them. We know. Those folks don't have to even acknowledge that there is this compassionate energy afoot. They will feel it. It will benefit them, but they may not go, that was compassionate. Yes, yes. So Charles Darwin says that the instinct for mutual aid, this instinct to take care of each other, this startling capacity, he says, to care deeply what happens to each other, it's within us. It's innate. It's part of our DNA. It's who we are. It's part of how we have survived as a species. We take care of each other. That's what this spiritual community is about. We hold each other in prayer. We send Reiki healing those of us who are Reiki, or those of you who are Reiki practitioners, we bring forth selfless service. We care deeply as a species about what happens to each other. And it is so important for us to care very deeply about ourselves. Because if we're not caring about ourselves, it's hard to care deeply about the others. And so this capacity to actually put ourselves in someone else's position, to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, guess what? That's built into us, to feel this energy of the divine and to open our hearts big enough to actually feel what someone else is feeling from the inside out. Pretty amazing stuff. But it requires us to be very awake, very aware, very present. And it requires us to actually set an intention to make compassion part of our path in the world. To make compassion part of our path in the world as a practice, you see, as a practice. To realize, I love what the Talmud says, that this is the way God runs the world. Our caring for each other, our bringing forth our very best into situations. God depends, God, whatever you call God, this universal energy that we all are, this is the way the world works, folks, is we care for each other. We bring our energy of the divine into every situation. We are the activity of God expressing. That's the truth. We have that spark of divine within us, and everything that we do, everything that we think, everything that we say is an expression of that. And let's hope that it's an awake, aware expression. Because sometimes it shows up as an unskillful expression. And then we just bless it, and we move on, and we make a new choice. It's not a feeling, this compassion. It is not a feeling. It is something that requires us to be fully present and then take action. Take action, whatever that looks like. I know that we're going to be coming up very soon with working at the homeless shelter for the Armory, for the cold weather homeless shelter. If you want to have an opportunity to bring forth your deepest compassion, talk to Mike about how that can look on one Sunday evening a month during the cold season. This, you have every opportunity to be compassion expressing in a very harsh environment. No reward, no thank you, no payoff, just full divine presence serving the other deep needs of other people. So in Tibet, master teachers suggest that our work is in the world. You know, there's a lot of emphasis put on sitting on the cushion in the cave or on the mountaintop. But true realized masters say that the practice of the activity of being in crowds, seeing what's going on in the world, is way more important than that activity of just being on the cushion in the cave, because that's the easy part. This idea of bringing forth our energy into the crowded marketplace to be present as a beneficial presence without an agenda, to notice what pushes our buttons, to work on that, to move through those places of pain and fear in ourselves, off of the mountaintop, in the marketplace, engaged, responsive, loving, kind, deeply concerned for the benefit of the whole, allows us to bring forth this perspective of compassion that sees circumstances, that sees people, that sees events in a little better light. See it in a little better light, without the harsh judgment, without, you know, the filters of fear, to give the benefit of the doubt to whatever that experience is, so that when we're serving in these situations, or we're experiencing something in the world that we might normally want to just challenge or judge or, you know, think is not good or whatever, when we have this compassion moving through us, we have the capacity to actually give the benefit of the doubt to the person, to the situation. And I'll tell you what, those of you who are hooked into the media, especially this time of our country's process, there's so many opportunities to bring forth compassion in so many ways for so many things. Worldwide, in our country, in our cities, in our homes, we've got so much opportunity to see people in a better light, to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And this is what compassion's all about. I love what one of our authors suggests. If you have any doubt about how to show up in an experience, just love. Just love. Just bring forth love. Love anyway, as David Rigo would say. Love anyway. Don't have to judge. Don't have to be angry. Don't have to be resentful. Just bring forth love to that experience. And I love what David, or is that his name? David Zukoff? Gary Zukoff says. Gary Zukoff says, the idea of compassion is an invitation to pull the beauty out of circumstances and out of others in a way that makes their life beautiful and also helps make our own life more beautiful. Because when somebody else is lifted up a little bit, guess what? We're all lifted up a little bit. So when we can be compassionate, when we can take action that allows someone to dry their tears, when we can take action that allows somebody to be lifted up a little bit, to stand a little bit taller, when we can stand beside somebody and be a friend along this sometimes difficult path to help ease the mind, then beauty is part of the experience. We pull it out of both the person and the experience, you see. And then, of course, that helps make our own life much more beautiful because we create this resonant field of beauty. So I picked this image today. I worked with a book called Field Notes on a Compassionate Life, which we have in the bookstore. Love the Word. And one of the chapters has a title, The Good Eye. The Good Eye. And so the invitation with compassion is to intentionally focus on what is most pure, most sacred, most holy, the highest holy potential of every experience and every person. To see through the lens of love. And this, by the way, also applies to ourselves. To see ourselves through this highest, holiest potential. Like Karen Armstrong says, so many of us have been challenged with pain in our lives, with difficult situations, with making mistakes. Anybody ever not made a mistake that they regretted? Yeah, there you go, there you go, there you go. And so this works so that we know our own highest, holiest potential requires us to live an examined life, requires us to be aware of that stuff that gets in the way. Because I tell you what, when we're holding judgment around a particular topic and seeing it out there, we're probably holding some of that same judgment for ourselves in here, whether we know it or not. So when we see something out there and project it out there, our fears, our anger, our resentments, whatever that is, probably there's some lingering piece of that within each and every one of us. So it's so important for us to be able to identify this stuff. I know that each and every one of us have stuff that has happened in our life that we're ashamed of. Stuff where we have had failures, where we know we've been selfish, where we know that we've hurt other people's feelings, where we've been judgmental. We've got that stuff. I've certainly got that in my life. Hopefully, I try to minimize that at this point. But you know what? We're human. We're going to be continuing to make those unskillful choices when we're not fully awake in the moment. And so when we do that, it makes it very difficult for us to express our compassion, to bring that action forward with others when we're living from that place, that feeling of rage or that anger or that resentment or whatever that is. So we have to live an examined life. In the 12-step tradition, fearless moral inventory. We got to take a look at what's standing in the way. We got to look at the stuff that blocks us from living a life of self-love, which really is one of the hardest things in the world, and then blocks us from taking that out, to take that fearless inventory, and then take the necessary steps to heal whatever that is. Maybe it's through coming together in groups and working things out. Maybe it's through a therapeutic process. Maybe it's through deep meditation. Maybe it's through just walking in nature and getting clear. Whatever it takes to heal that stuff is really important. Now, we don't focus on our defects. We don't camp out there, as Linda would say. But we're simply aware of it. We bring our awareness to it. We try to heal it. And if we're struggling, we continue to practice whatever we need to do to heal that. And like Karen Armstrong says, we remember to tell ourselves, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. And every time we can say to ourselves, I'm doing my best, when we embrace these things that are getting in the way, we get a little bit closer. And when we can tell ourselves, I'm doing my best, guess what? We give everybody else out there the permission to do the same. And we can see them through that lens, through that rose-colored glass, that heart. Yeah, they're doing their best. I always tell people when we're in counseling sessions, a lot of people have issues with parenting, past parenting. They've got issues with moms and dads and stuff. And one of the things we always try to impress on people is they're doing the best they could at the time with what they had to work with. Get over it. Move on. Seriously. Seriously. We all are doing the best we can with what we have to work with. And if we can really get that for ourselves and for other folks, it makes a huge world of difference. A huge world of difference. You know, sometimes when I see things that I don't like out there, out picturing the world, if I could just remember that there have been times in my own life when I've acted like that, just like me. Just like me. So, this idea, the gift in all of this work with compassion, it's not about other people. The gift in this is recognizing your own pain, making peace with it, healing it, making friends with it, and then using that as a springboard to reach out to others. There's sort of this energy of understanding that comes forth. You know, in the Buddhist tradition, there's the idea of loving kindness meditation. Those of you who practice in a Buddhist tradition know there's the metta meditation, and it's very structured, and it's very clear, and many people recite this over and over as a mantra. But you'll notice, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but you'll notice that the first aspect of metta, of loving kindness meditation, is toward ourselves. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be peaceful and at ease. Because if I'm not that, I can't bring it out there to you, to the world, to the circumstances of life. If I'm not well and at peace, I can't bring it out there. So in the metta meditation, then it continues to go on. May you, may my friend, may this, and then finally, may my enemy be well. May my enemy be at peace. And so this idea of taking care of self first, before we can even do anything else, is hugely important. So, back to our beginning song. May I be the bridge over troubled waters for others, through my awakened, aware work in the world. May I be the one that comforts. May I be the one that dries tears. May I be the one that lifts up and stands beside. May I be the one that is a friend. May I be the one that eases the mind of the world. May each and every one of us be that. May I be the one that has the courage to look at my own life experience through the lens of love, through trust, so that I can heal what's getting in the way, so that I can move through life with an empowered heart that I can create this harmony, this cooperation, this deep sense of connection with others, this deep reverence for life. Consciously choosing to do that because I'm willing to look at my own pain and let that inform my walk in the world with you.